there's this line, right? We were chatting about this during the break of we love to hate the airlines because the experience is, like Josh Hawley said, you've got young kids, I've got young kids, like the experience stinks. But it's also not a great business, the airline industry, right? And so you can almost identify with your colleagues and you can almost identify with the airlines. And so sort of like, what's the line here of the future and protecting consumers and protecting these airlines really as well?
I think the line pivots around where the fees start to feel arbitrary, capricious, and hidden. When consumers don't feel like they're making informed choices, where they're allocating their money towards a better experience. So allowing airlines, for example, to unbundle their prices so you can pay a little bit more for a window seat or for an aisle seat or for a seat with more leg room or for not having a checked bag, that can actually lower prices for people who want to travel more economically and allow other passengers to choose the experience that they want. That can be okay. Where it's not okay is where it starts to feel like bullying, where you are shopping for airline tickets online, you see one price, and then as you're clicking through, they're adding more and more fees, and you're ending up with a price that's 2x what you thought it was. That's hidden, right? So the line is pivoting around the hidden element of it and also the arbitrary and capricious element like you were describing with the gate check personnel being incentivized to find those bags.
So what can Congress do? Because on the one hand, if Congress were to take legislative action, I could say that's you could be picking winners and losers, right? Like, why go after the airlines and not that industry? You and I were talking, airlines are as much banks as they are airlines. The loyalty reward programs are just as valuable, if not more so, than the actual airlines themselves. Delta SkyMiles, $28 billion. American Advantage, $24 billion. United at $22 billion. That's the credit card alone, right? So what can Congress actually do about this that doesn't unfairly target these fragile businesses?
You bring up a great point about the credit cards. For most airlines in America today, the margin of profitability for them is not about flying people from A to B. It's about selling them credit cards.
Right, yeah.
And I think that's a concern as a policymaker because you are now having a major industry that is reliant for its survival on an area where it is not its core competency. I want these airlines to succeed or fail based on how safely and how effectively they fly people from city to city. I don't want them to have to be pseudo banks to be able to succeed or fail. So I think, one, Congress needs to look hard at disaggregating those business models and saying you can do one thing, please don't try to do both things. And second, usually when we tackle a really complex issue with trade-offs like you're describing, we start with transparency. Come to us and put forward all of the fees, all of the mechanisms that you are using for the consumer and for Congress, and that transparency helps.
Speaking of failure, Spirit Airlines, going through bankruptcy, tried to merge with JetBlue. The Biden administration, the DOJ under the Biden administration didn't allow it to merge. Can you make the argument maybe that was a bad decision?
No, I don't think so, because that argument of, oh, just let us get bigger and we'll be okay, has been used in healthcare, it has been used in banking, it is used in airlines. And while in the near term it can be an attractive argument for policymakers who don't want to see failures, don't want to see a failure of a hospital or an airline, in the long run where it gets us to is consolidation and monopoly pricing power. And we want small, competitive, or I shouldn't say small, but competitive markets for these services. And so I think being tough on mergers where they had a lot of those routes that they were going to consolidate, we're going to give them monopoly pricing power. And I think the DOJ was right to push back.
Let me leave you with this. Speaking of big and small, Elon Musk. I had one of your colleagues, Greg Landsman, on the show last night. One of your colleagues, Jared Moskowitz, come out and said, yeah, I'll join Doge, right? You got to be in the room. You got to be in the arena if you want to enact change. Greg Landsman told me last night, Democrat from Ohio, yeah, I would join Doge. I would follow Congressman Moskowitz. Where are you on that?
I wish that Elon Musk would build more and tweet less. I think that he's an amazing entrepreneur.
You don't think he's built enough?
That's what I'm saying, is that where he focuses on being an engineer and entrepreneur, he's terrific. And if he wants to go in and talk about where the government can cut down on waste, fraud, and abuse, where we can shear through the red tape that's holding back our ability to build ships or to deliver services more effectively or to cut out the middlemen in healthcare, of course we should work with him on that. If he's going to try to cut Social Security, Democrats are going to fight back ferociously.
If they come to you and say, Congressman Auchincloss, you want a seat at the table? What does Congressman Auchincloss?
I'm a member of Congress. I want a seat at the table for how we run this country.
With Doge?
With anything that they are doing in the administration. I mean, I'm going to be providing oversight of RFK. I want to work about how we make government more efficient and effective. But as a member of Congress, I can't represent my district's values or advance its priorities unless I'm at the table.
All right. Jake Auchincloss, Democrat from Massachusetts.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.